Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today live at the waterhole. We have started over in Tembe Elephant Park in Maputo Land, South Africa. My name is Kerry Dupree and I will be your naturalist presenter for the day. On our MC team here in Johannesburg, we have Jordan, and on our tech side, we have John. It is a lovely afternoon. I can hear, is that a brown-hooded kingfisher calling? Maybe if we're lucky we'll get a sighting of this little brown-hooded kingfisher, but lovely to see some nice big elephant tuskers that have come down to the watering hole today. Looks like they're having a nice dust bath, chilling under the shade of the trees and just, waiting for the weekend to arrive. So just a reminder, folks, that this is a live and interactive experience. You can watch us on our app, or if you're watching this on our website, you can register to ask those questions. Let me know if there's any specific locations you'd like to check out today. Join in the chitter chatter. You can also use the QR code on screen now, or we also have the option of sending those questions through on our WhatsApp line, which will be displayed on screen as well. If you're using Twitter or X, don't forget to use the hashtag @WildEarth and join in the conversation for the day. It is a lovely sunny Thursday afternoon. We had quite a cold weekend here in Johannesburg last weekend, but as the week has progressed, it has gotten quite warm. Sun is out. I think we're in our about 24-25 degrees today here in South Africa in Johannesburg. Lovely weather. Nice to have the sunshine out. Tembe Elephant Park does look sunny and warm today. And look at this tusker, isn't he incredible? Some massive long tusks that he's got. Maybe if we're lucky we'll get one ton coming down to see us in Old Donyo as well. We had a sighting, very brief sighting of Old Donyo, the super tusker over in Kenya. I haven't seen him for a while, so lovely to see him. But really enjoying seeing these tuskers here in Tembe. Really magnificent creatures, aren't they? We had an unusual sighting here the other day also in Tembe with some elephant bulls that were jousting with each other, having a bit of a rough and tumble, bit of elephant fun. Lovely day, lovely way to start the afternoon. I'm dying to see our brown-hooded kingfisher that was also calling earlier. It's been quite some time since we have seen him. Look at these majestic bulls. So we've got a few viewers joining us this afternoon. Shireen D, thank you for joining. And yes, these elephant bulls are very handsome. How magnificent. Although I wouldn't want to mess with this elephant bull up in the front. Look how sharp those tusks of his are. Definitely not an elephant I would like to come across in the bush if he is in musk or in a bad mood. Alex, hello and good afternoon. We have Fuzzy Dunlop also joining us. Happy Thirsty Thursday, Fuzzy Dunlop. Deb Davis is also joining us today. And glad to be here, Deb Davis, and thank you for joining. We also have Mercedes Bean, and who's joining the chitter chatterers of the day. We have Eric Vanhoff. Is asking if we ever go to Pilanesberg. So Eric, we don't have any cameras currently in the Pilanesberg, but I do think we should have some cameras up in that part of South Africa. I know African is always looking for new locations to set their cameras up. We definitely have some really cool sightings in Pilanesberg. Oh, okay, so I'm just hearing from Jordan that apparently we do have a camera in Pilanesberg. I know the leopard sightings are epic in Pilanesberg. They have some incredibly large leopards there, so it'll be really awesome to see some leopards in the Pilanesberg. Talking about leopards, I know that on the African cameras, I can't remember where it was, there's been quite a lot of sightings the last 2 weeks of leopard, mostly at night. I know Lintore is a great location, Lintore over in Kenya, for leopards. They actually have the option at Lintore for you to camp in the hide, so you can stay there overnight, obviously with a guide. And they have a lot of light, so you can have your hide can be, the watering hole in front of the hide can be either backlit or front lit. And there are some incredible photos coming out of Lintore, not just of leopard, but leopard, striped hyena, serval, caracal. It is incredible. Of course, I know a lot of these photographers would have spent hours sitting in these hides trying to get these incredible photos. So photography sure does come with a lot of patience. I don't have much patience myself, but photography really has taught me to be a little bit patient. And patience surely is a virtue with wildlife. And if you're patient enough, wildlife has a way of rewarding you. A lot of guests or a lot of travelers come to Africa every year, and they want to come in and out as quickly as possible, see their big five, get as many good sightings as they can. But it's not always it's not really the plan that animals have, so you can't always predict these things to happen as quickly as possible. Sometimes it's better to take your time, sit at a watering hole, and wait to see what comes by. I definitely have had a lot of luck with just patiently sitting at hides. My favorite hide sighting, I think, was probably in the Congo. Again, we sat for hours and days and hours, but we finally got the African grey parrots coming down to land right in front of us. Thousands of African green pigeons, we had red river hogs, and one day we even had bongos, a very beautiful creature, antelope, one of the most beautiful antelopes in Africa, I think. Almost looks a bit like a nyala, but much bigger, tawny brown color, long white stripes down the body, and of course both male and females do have horns. So just a reminder, folks, that if you do have some time and you live near a game reserve or some sort of beautiful lookout or view, sometimes it does pay off to just go sit quietly and wait to see what comes out next. So I have some more comments coming through. Erica Oldno, thank you for joining us. Lovely to have you with us this afternoon, and I'm always very privileged to be here. Lovely to join in on Live at the Waterhole. Diane is joining us from Cape Town this afternoon. I hope that you're having some lovely weather in Cape Town, Diane. We are starting to warm up a little bit in Johannesburg. I think I wore shorts for the first time yesterday for a couple of hours. So nice to have a little bit of sunshine here in Gauteng province. So Eric is watching from the Netherlands. Glad that you have the opportunity to watch with us today, Eric. And yes, I'm sure seeing elephants and all these wild creatures in wild places in Africa must make you miss home a little bit. These elephants do look a bit sleepy and lazy this afternoon, I must say. Maybe it's been a bit of a rough week for them. All right, Eric, so Jordan has managed to locate our Pilanesberg camera trap, Africam camera for us in Komoratan. So why don't we head across to that camera in Pilanesberg and see what's happening on another part of South Africa. Alrighty, everyone, so I'm trying to see if I can recognize this camera. So this is Komoratan over in the Pilanesberg. It might have been my first time actually having access to this camera. I don't know if there's much activity going on here. And I haven't seen any videos on the African Instagram page, but I'll have to dig a little bit deeper. So if you're trying to have a catch up on what's been happening maybe at Live at the Waterhole or on the Africam cameras, I would really recommend going onto the Africam Instagram page. I don't know if they have a Facebook page, but they are very, very good with keeping up to date with some of the very cool sightings on the Africam cameras across Africa. I always have a bit of a scan through to see what's been happening, any cool sightings, and awesome updates. So yeah, definitely they catch some really interesting animal behaviors here. I know our waterbuck from the other day that was checking out the crocodile on the bank, they've put a video up on the Instagram page of our waterbuck, female waterbuck, that was checking out the crocodile.
Join me, Andrew Wistenholm, for an indescribable 6-night stay in the beautiful Albany of the Eastern Cape at Amakhala Game Reserve. Now, this trip is going to be action-packed with a lot of storytelling, adventure, as well as the opportunity to make everlasting memories. We'll be exploring the best of Amakhala by staying at 2 luxury lodges, which will be the perfect blend of comfort as well as wilderness. Book your spot today and let's get ready to explore the wild beauty of Amakhala.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
My full name is Maxine Gaines. Best part of the job, gosh, I just love everything about guiding. I love being able to observe animal behavior and animals behaving naturally. So for me, that's by far the best part of the job. And so what we do here at Wild Earth is develop those connections with the people that are viewing and maybe just light a little spark that says, you know what, I want to be involved in protecting this ecosystem.
So we also got Danny French has commented that Kwa and Tembe are very beautiful places. I can agree with you there. We've got some really incredible locations here on the African camera circuit. This week has been very busy at Live at the Waterhole, I must say. It must be because of the changing seasons. We're kind of going out of our rainy season at the moment in southern Africa. A lot of our locations are starting to experience a lot of leaf fall, starting to cool down, heading into our winter. So there's definitely been lots of activity at all of our locations, lots of interesting sightings this week, and probably some of my favorite days live at the Waterhole. Some oxpeckers on these two male impalas here, giving them a bit of a groom, picking off some parasites. Hello, young boys. So yeah, this pan looks like it is drying up quite a bit here, this watering hole. You can see the water has been receding, lots of lily pads. Lily pads normally indicates a very healthy environment. If there's lots of aquatic plants, it does indicate that it is a healthy environment, enough oxygen, the water's clean and clear. Very good place for looking for birds. African jacanas or lily trotters do love to spend time on little pans and watering holes with lots of lilies that they can move across and feed while near the water. Lilies are, if you have a watering hole, it's always a great idea to introduce as many aquatic plants as possible. They also oxygenate the soil and the water. So yeah, very, very good. Except for water hyacinths. I know it's that can be quite invasive. Crazy how on Hartbeespoort Dam there is such an invasive problem there with the water hyacinths. There's not too much happening here over in the Pilanesberg, folks, so why don't we head across to Tau Lodge and see what's happening over in Madikwe in South Africa. Whoa, check out this big bull. Shucks, lovely to see some elephants down here. So we've got 2 elephants. It's actually one just in the grass in the tree line, just at the back to the far left. And yeah, it's crazy to see this elephant bull. Looks like he has quite small tusks. Might have broken them off while feeding. He looks like he's been scratching his head on something, maybe on a tree or a muddy tree, or maybe he decided to have a mud bath but only scratch his head and face. Nice to see some big elephant bulls here. So it's incredible how the elephant bull tusks have different lengths depending on the areas that they live in, temperatures, as well as genetics. Oh, we have some springbok as well coming to join us live at the waterhole, and some ducks. Oh my goodness, I saw ducks. Are those teals? Could be Cape teals, could be red-billed teals. Haven't seen any teals over in Tau for quite some time. I'm excited for our shelled ducks to start coming back. So of course, with all this influx of water, lots of pans and watering holes all over, unfortunately a lot of our bird life has disappeared from Tau. You do get residential birds that will have local movements, but as soon as these watering holes start to dry up, like now as we go into the dry season, you get all these water birds start coming back to the main water sources in the area. So really looking forward to seeing what birds come back to Tau. Nice little breeding herd of springbok. And looks like we've got some blacksmith lapwings also down close to the water. We've been having lots of activity at Tau recently with the crocodiles. It's been really nice to see them again. We can sometimes go for quite some time without seeing the crocodiles, especially with all this thick reeded vegetation at the moment after the long green season. So we have a question from Lisebi. Thank you for your question. So Lisebi is asking about, do oxpeckers ever sit on elephants to look for parasites? So Lisebi, yes, sometimes oxpeckers can frequent elephants, but elephants do have quite thick skin, so they are really thick-skinned mammal. You mostly find oxpeckers on mammals like buffalo, zebra, giraffe. Oh shame, the poor giraffe over in Oldonyo in Kenya. Those oxpeckers, they are very relentless when it comes to sitting on those giraffe. Whenever the giraffe put their head down to have a bit of a drink, the oxpeckers go into their eyes and their nose and their ears, and they're quite a nuisance. I have seen oxpeckers also on warthogs, and I have even seen oxpeckers on bush pigs before. So again, there's not really a limit to which species an oxpecker might frequent, but definitely they frequent thin-skinned mammals a lot more regularly. Have a look at this elephant. So they very thick skin, and they don't really struggle with ticks. Elephants, they might get 1 or 2 ticks in between their armpits where the skin is soft, or at the base of their tail there, just underneath their tail. But generally oxpeckers, you'll find them on thin-skinned mammals. The elephants come down for a nice midday drink. Get him squirting the water out of his trunk there. So it's crazy. Look how versatile and agile these elephants' trunks are. So an elephant's trunk can weigh anything between 10 to 11 kilograms. They're very heavy, those trunks of theirs. Perfectly adapted for feeding. Alright folks, why don't we head across to Cat-Eye Pan? Apparently there's some elephants coming down for a drink. Whoa, check out all these elephants here. So we are over at Cat-Eye Pan in the Olifants Game Reserve. Looks like they're coming down for a nice mid-afternoon splish and a splash after a hot day in the African sun. Looks looks like it's quite warm here in this game reserve, so elephants are cooling off before continuing their day feeding. So Penelope Kenyon, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Lovely to have you with us. So nice to see some activity at Kata. It's been a bit quiet recently. I think the last few times we've been across to this watering hole, I struggled to try to find maybe a few frogs or terrapin. Why don't we have a bit of a quiet moment to listen to these elephants? Oh, check out this female elephant's tusk. Oh my goodness. Let's have a look. She almost looks like she's got a saber-toothed tiger tooth instead of a tusk. It's actually bent backwards here. Whoa, very, very unusual. So it looks like a deformity. Could have been a deformity from birth, or maybe when she was young she got an injury of some sort which caused her tusk to grow in such an unusual manner. Have a look at that. I've never seen an elephant's tusk like that before. Whoa. So Diane from Cape Town is asking a question about, I'm afraid that oxpeckers sometimes peck into the eyes of animals. And yes, Diane, yes, oxpeckers can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance. So they have a bit of a, let's say in some cases they can be, looks like a young bull decided to chase the elephants there. So in some cases oxpeckers can be a help to mammals. They can help remove ticks and parasites so they don't get overrun with ticks and nasty parasites, but in other cases oxpeckers can be quite a nuisance. So I call them helpers, but in some cases they can be a hindrance. They can be quite incisive when picking at wounds as well, so it's good because it can keep wounds open, but sometimes they pick at the wounds too much and can cause more further injury. And in some cases, yes, they can also pick away. I've seen old buffalo bull, often buffalo bulls having their ears picked away by oxpeckers. So when buffalo bulls get old, they get very tatty ears. Their immune systems are quite slow. It's difficult for them to heal. They don't heal as quick as they used to when they were young. And oxpeckers pick at the ears.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart. Wild Earth has launched a special fundraising drive for our non-profit, the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. We're raising funds to source, create, and showcase thousands of untold stories. Stories that spark real action in conservation and social impact. Visit our website to donate and explore how you can become a founding donor.
Would you like to know what an elephant's favorite food is? You could ask me questions like that in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive from the heart of Africa. The Fortunas over here. Watch Safari Live and connect with nature.
Step into the heart of Africa from the comfort of your home.
Female leopard tracks over here.
Join our expert guides for a live 3-hour safari where every moment is real, unscripted, and unforgettable. Ask questions.
Animals rely on their senses.
Share your thoughts and be part of the experience as we explore together. Safari Live. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife, and stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Look at this youngster having a swim. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, here's our fanged female elephant, folks. How unusual is that tusk of hers? So yes, Catherine, she does look like she has a fang, but it's not a very useful fang. And yes, Penelope Kenyon, it's kind of worse than a fang because it's kind of like bending very much backwards. So yeah, so elephants can develop these deformed tusks due to quite a variety of natural as well as environmental factors. Some of the main causes can be genetic factors. So some elephants are born with these asymmetrical tusks, so tusks that grow in very unusual directions, also known as monodonts. So just like humans can have crooked teeth or bones, tusk shapes and sizes can vary widely depending on the inherited traits from their parents. As I mentioned, some of these elephants can be, their tusks' unusual shape can be caused by injury or trauma. So if an elephant damages its tusks in early life, such as through a break or a crack near the base, it can affect how these tusks grow. Nutritional deficiencies or illness is also a contributing factor. So poor nutrition or health problems during the key growth phases of these elephants can also lead to abnormalities. But yeah, so also soil types, so hard soils or rocks can also wear down elephants' tusks. If there's a lacking of food, they spend a lot of time using their tusks to help them to feed. But this female elephant surely is an unusual one. I've never seen an elephant with such strange tusks. I've seen elephants with crisscrossing tusks that are slightly angled in unusual directions, but I've never seen a tusk that has actually fanged and gone all the way backwards. How unusual. Very crazy. Oop. Isn't this just special, watching these elephants playing in the water, drinking and interacting with one another? I just love listening to the sounds of them drinking and breathing, their ears flapping. So as a guide, it's so important to spend a lot of time with these wild animals so that you can understand their body language and their behavior, and also the sounds associated with different behaviors in these animals, so that if you're out in the bush and you hear the flapping of an ear of an elephant, or a crunching sound while they're chewing their food, you can get an early alarm system. I think it has saved me a few times from almost being squashed by forest elephants, being able to pick up on these sounds of elephants. So just spend a moment or two listening to these different sounds that the elephants make, the step, the sound that their feet make on the ground, their trunk sucking up water, splashing water into their faces, their ears flapping on their skin. It's very special sounds that these wild animals make. Of course, there's also the very prominent sounds of elephant flatulence that can be heard from quite a distance as well, and help to give you an indicator that there might be some elephants close by. They feed on so much vegetation every day to sustain those bodies of theirs. So they do have quite a lot of gas exchange going on in those giant bellies of theirs. We have some questions coming through here. So Darren and Devon from England have asked a question about promise you folks, those are their elephants making strange noises. We have an elephant ball on the left hand side also with a floppy ear. His cartilage has probably been broken in a fight. So Darren and Devon from England have asked the question, can large elephant bulls be tranquilized if they need a procedure done, or are they too big? So no, Darren, it doesn't matter what size the elephant bulls are, they can be tranquilized. Obviously tranquilizing young individuals can be a little bit more risky, so especially with rhinos, elephants, in fact any animals, the young, if they're too young, sometimes they might not tranquilize the youngsters if they need to do a procedure on the females. I've spent quite a lot of time doing translocations, dehorning operations. So for rhinos you'll have to try and keep the little baby away from the mother, which can be quite entertaining. Little baby rhino can get quite grumpy if his mother is not taking care of him. I've also done a few translocations of elephants, big elephant bulls. So yeah, a lot of relocation of animals is done in southern Africa, and what will happen is we'll often tranquilize these elephants from a helicopter. They then get loaded by a crane onto the low bed of a big truck, tied down very securely and safely, and moved to other areas if there may be a problem animal or if reserves are overpopulated. So I've spent quite a lot of time doing translocations with these elephants. It's crazy to see these elephants being lifted up with these giant cranes and put onto the low bed of a huge truck. Of course, some of these elephant bulls we translocated in Victoria Falls. 2-3 weeks later they were broken the fence and back in the game reserve again. So they don't always listen to humans, or they don't really like being told what to do, elephants. So I hope that answers your question here. So Kaz is asking about how do elephants get calcium. So Kaz, a lot of the minerals that elephants get is from the soil that they feed on. So obviously at Tembe Elephant Park, you see there's a lot of sodak areas there. And that's where they'll receive a lot of their salt and a lot of their minerals and calcium through the soil. This behavior is known as geophagia. So we've got a Mopani tree squirrel that is chirping away in the background there. So it's probably a male Mopani tree squirrel trying to attract a nearby female. So also to answer your question there, Kaz, about elephants and receiving calcium. So elephants do not, it's not recorded too often that elephants will feed on bones, unlike giraffes. So giraffe do practice osteophagia. Oh, you can hear the elephant is breaking a tree close to the camera. So yeah, elephants, unlike giraffe can be seen chewing and nibbling on bones from time to time. We had a really cool sighting at Mabula with a female giraffe that was chewing on a bone for about half an hour. It was quite interesting and entertaining watching her. But yeah, it's very rarely observed elephants chewing on bones, which is known as osteophagia. Feeding on the soil is known as geophagia. So yeah, elephants do get a lot of the salts, minerals and calcium that they need through the soil. So yeah, elephants are herbivores, so that means their primary diet does consist of grasses, bark, leaves, fruit and roots. So they typically get a lot of calcium also from the bark and roots that they feed on. And as mentioned, the soil types in different areas. Oh, we've got a nice big elephant ball that's just joined the watering hole. Where did he come from? He's just popped in here, also coming to get a nice drink. So Dark Mane Lover has asked a question about elephants getting drunk on marulas. So Dark Mane Lover, yes, this is somewhat a little bit of a myth. Elephants getting drunk off marulas, as well as baboons and nyala, impala. It can happen, but these animals do need to feed on, especially elephants, feed on quite a large amount of these marula fruit in order to get drunk. So it's not impossible, but in most cases where this might happen is, for example, if an elephant has been in an area where he's been feeding on a lot of marulas for a few days or a few weeks. So like I remember at Juma last year, over in quarantine, the elephants, especially the young elephant bulls, they do get very protective over their marula trees. So it does drive them a little bit, little bit mad, these elephants, the marulas. You'll see each marula tree will have a young elephant bull or even older elephant bulls hanging around those trees. I know they were pushing a lot of trees over last year also around quarantine and Juma and the Sabi Sands in order to get to those marula fruit. But yeah, elephants and animals getting drunk from this fruit is, I think, a bit of a rare sighting, but not impossible. I have made quite a few marula homebrew beers myself. I've brewed some marula beer and marula wine. It is incredibly delicious. It's got that nice natural creaminess to it. But yeah, it's hard work. It's not an easy job, but really worthwhile. Trying some marula beer or marula wine if you ever get a chance. Sounds like we've got a Saitidad or a cricket that started calling. So yeah, last year while I was at the Juma, I did collect quite a few marulas, brought them back to Johannesburg, and I did, had to wait quite a bit for them to ripen up nicely, and sat and made some marula beer one day. Again, it is a long process. You have to sit there and de-shell the marulas, separate the marula shells from the seeds with all the pulp, and then you really need to get your hands dirty, get them in there, try to remove as much of that fleshy pulp as you can. Then you separate the seeds and the liquid from the seeds and the liquid, separate them, and then you literally just cover it. If you have a cheesecloth, cover it with a cheesecloth. Normally most recipes say between 3 to 4 days. You can or you do need to add a lot of sugar, of course, because marulas do have that very bitter taste to them, so lots of sugar needs to be added in there, and then you leave it for 3 to 4 days and it ferments and brews quite nicely. If you want to turn it into more of a wine, then I've done a recipe before. I added yeast, so the yeast gives it more of a winey taste, whereas if you just leave it with the sugar, it's got a lot of fermenting agents in itself, so it doesn't necessarily need yeast, but very easy to make, just a little bit time consuming. Definitely need to get in there with your hands. It's no surprise that elephants, baboons, nyala, so many animals love to feed on these marulas. They are absolutely delicious. Very high in vitamin C as well, so very nutritious for them too. Dark Mane Lover, you're more than welcome. I hope that I answered your question sufficiently, and I hope that when you next come to Africa, if you get an opportunity to try some marula wine or marula beer, you'll take the chance. Again, it's not something that's sold commercially in the shops in South Africa. You kind of have to be in an area where there's some local people that brew it themselves, and if you're lucky enough to find the right person, it's really great stuff. It's like pineapple beer. I know in KwaZulu-Natal, I used to love the farmers markets on weekends because pineapple beer was something that would always be sold. And it's really delicious pineapple beer, very low alcohol percentage, so you don't have to worry about getting too drunk off the stuff. But it's just very sweet, very natural, and very good for you as well. So Tina's, yes, you can make marula jelly. Tina's, I have not been brave enough to attempt that. It's kind of like fig jam. Again, you have to really good. It's not easy stuff to make, but marula jelly is delicious stuff. I think my aunt who lives in Hoedspruit, she makes marula jelly. But yeah, I don't quite have that much time to sit. It's a whole afternoon affair. But yeah, marula jelly, delicious stuff. Again, lots of sugar needs to go in there. And the nut, the seed of the marula is very, very good. Makes really good chocolate chip cookies, should I say. If you put little chocolate chip cookies, you can also then take those nuts. It's very difficult to get into the actual marula nut, but if you know the technique, there's a specific technique. Put it on a rock. If you hit it in the right angle, it pops right open. If you don't, then it just smashes to pieces and you've got hard marula nut with the seed. But anyway, if you can get that little nut out of there, it's delicious.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart.
Inside, and yeah, you get people that learn how to specially use the right angle with the right tool to crack them open. I saw a guy in the village one day in the Congo, and he was sitting there. He had a rock between his feet, and it was specially shaped. It had a bit of a concave in the middle, and he had these nuts. He would put the nut in the middle of this rock. He had his feet on either side of the rock, and you would take his machete and give the nut one chop, and it would be open. And he was like a factory. He was chopping open these nuts and getting the seeds out. Probably every minute he would do about 20-30 of them. It took me about half an hour to do 5. So he was very well skilled, but I just thought, my goodness, if he misses, he's definitely going to miss a toe. I did notice he had all of his toes, so he must have very good aim, very well skilled in cracking open these special nuts. So in the Congo we have these nuts called Panda oleosa, which is also like, I call them pharmacies of the forest. Just like the marula tree, very important part of the ecosystem, feeds a lot of animals, not just big mammals like elephants, but also primates. So these nuts, chimpanzees would actually, we found some sites where the chimpanzees would actually sit there and would crack open these Panda oleosa seeds. So it's a 3-chambered seed. If you know manketi, the manketi tree in southern Africa, you get it a lot in Botswana, Zimbabwe, or false balsa wood. It's very similar to that nut and these chimps. We actually found a site where these chimps, so this would have been a perfect area because you've got some nice flat rocks here, and we actually saw sites where chimps would come in with tools, and they were using tools to crack open these nuts to get into that very fleshy, soft and delicious seed or kernel inside. So it's crazy to see the adaptation in chimps and tool sharing. Apparently in chimps there's a lot of research being done that tools and certain sticks and useful tools have been passed from one generation to the next in some chimp families. So it's definitely a sign of a higher intelligence than other primates. So really incredible to dive into these kind of tool uses in chimps. Same as elephants. Elephants will also kind of use things to help them while feeding, their tusks, their trunks, so their feet while digging up grass as well. So every creature is adapted to surviving in their natural environment. So Lady Macbeth is commenting that marilla is the gift that she always brings back to her friends in the UK when she comes, I'm guessing when you come back from holiday. So Lady Macbeth, the marilla beer is quite different to the amarula. Of course, they extract this liquid from marula and they add it into the creamy liqueur that makes it amarula. And amarula is, of course, very delicious, especially on a cup of coffee on a morning safari, or like if we were sitting at this pan right now, I would have a little hot box behind us with a tea, coffee, and marilla close by. Always lovely in a hot chocolate or a hot coffee while on safari. But the marilla liqueur is also different to the marilla beer as well. But lots of fans, lots of people love that amarula. It's definitely the taste of Africa, they say. So Catherine, thanks for your comment. Apparently Catherine made some marula iced tea and marula G&T earlier this year. So I'd love to try your marula iced tea, Catherine. I also made some marula iced tea earlier this year at Mabula. I did marula and wild basil iced tea, which I must say was quite a delicious combination. Like the one day, it was a really hot day, I chucked some ice into a nice little cooler for BK and I, and as we did our intro, I had our little iced tea set up there. We had some nice ice and it was creamy and delicious. I think I made the MCs jealous that day because it was quite a warm day. So nothing better than some lovely iced tea, especially with marula. These elephants are still busy drinking here. Right, so we're just checking in with our locations to see what else is happening out there. Why don't we head back across to Tau and see what else is happening there? Wow, check at these guys. Got two red-knobbed coots here. Looks like they're giving themselves a lovely groom for the day. If you've ever seen, it's quite rare to see a red-knobbed coot's feet, but if you've got your phone close to you and you can have a Google, I would definitely Google the feet of a red-knobbed coot. They have the most unusual feet. Of course, they're very well adapted, lots of little pads. They almost look like gecko feet, like a large version of gecko feet. A lot of little pads, again, helping them walk on the water, or walk on lily, kind of walk in a very aquatic environment, and also for swimming purposes. They're such beautiful birds, a jet black, white, and those red knobs on the top of their forehead there. So those red knobs are more prominent in males with the red-knobbed coot, especially at breeding season. Oh, we also got some zebra here. Hello, zebbies. Oh, I'm also desperately looking out to see what other water birds have come down to the watering hole today. I thought I saw some teals flying across earlier when we were watching our elephant. So what other water birds do we have here today? Looks like we've got a lapwing, also kind of just to the left of those zebra. Right, why don't we head across to Nguma, folks? I think we have some more zebra and a very nice scenery. Oh, hello zebra. So we have some zebra over in Nguma in Etosha National Park in Namibia. Looks quite nice and green. Must say, when I went to Namibia last year, must have been around April, it was very dry. I don't think you've ever felt dryness like when you go to Namibia. It was, yeah, even your nose dries up. You feel like you have no liquid left in your body. You have to put eye drops in constantly. So it's nice to see some greenery after a bit of rain this last year. Lots of flies around today bothering the zebra. So this Nguma Nature Reserve is located on the eastern border of Etosha National Park in Namibia. It does experience quite arid conditions and climate, as I mentioned, so you do have a very distinct wet and dry season, and they have a very low annual rainfall. I was very surprised when I went to Namibia and I was asking in different regions of Namibia what their annual rainfall has been, and in general areas of Namibia their annual rainfall is, for last year some areas was under 300 mils of rain for the whole year. So in Nguma, this area, they are known to have just over 300 mils of rain for a good season. I mean, that is crazy. Imagine only having 300 mils of rain in a year. In a whole year. 365 days and less than 300 mils.
Do you want to know why impala are the most common antelope we find here in the Kruger National Park? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live. Connect with nature.
Lovely to see some of the acacia trees are doing well, have lots of leaves and lots of green cover, lots of food for the animals. So this area is home to about 30 different mammal species, lots of plains game, giraffe, kudu, oryx, eland, hartebeest, zebra, impala. Don't forget the springbok as well, lots of springbok in these regions. And of course they do have the predators being lion, cheetah, leopard and hyena. I think I've even seen a cheetah at this location before. Yeah. The reserve also has a very impressive population of birds. So over 300 bird species have been recorded in this location here in Etosha. Thanks for your comment, Martina Smith. Yes, zebra are always a lovely scene to see. One of my favorite animals. Yeah, lovely to see a healthy population of zebras. So it's very rare to see a sick zebra. So if you want to see if a zebra is sick, it is quite easy to tell. They'll have floppy manes. So you don't often see a zebra with floppy mane, but if you do, just keep a lookout. You might be a sick individual. Right, folks, shall we head back across to Cat Eye Pan and see what our elephants are up to? Elephants are still busy feeding, no, having a drink at this watering hole. So there'll be lots of local movements of these elephants in different parts of southern Africa at the moment. As the bush starts to dry up and the watering holes get smaller and smaller, the natural watering holes, elephants will start moving in certain areas, coming to these pumped watering holes. So yeah, that's why the big safari seasons start picking up now, May, June, July. A lot of the lodges I visited in Wangi on my last visit to Zimbabwe, yeah, a lot of my camp manager friends told me, oh goodness, from June, July, August, can be very busy times of the year to travel. Also very cold in some parts of southern Africa, especially those early mornings. So as we spoke about marula earlier, definitely is a lovely addition to have to your morning game drive when your fingers and nose are almost falling off. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't think Africa can get cold, but those early morning game drives can get quite chilly, I must say. Check these guys feeding. Seems to be quite a happy hierarchy or dominance within these bulls here. Seem to be very happy drinking together. I have a question from Picasso. Thank you for your question, Picasso. So Picasso is very curious about elephant toe bones and if they are fused or not. So it's a very good question, Picasso. So yes, an elephant's toe bones are not fused together. So they do actually have quite a distinct and remarkable similar structure within their feet to other mammals. So they just have an adaptation. So the adaptation in elephants' feet is in order to support their massive weight. So yeah, elephants' toes and their toe bones or phalanges. So they have 5 toes per foot, but only not all of these toes are visible. So the front feet of Savanna elephants have 5 toes, and the hind feet have 4. But again, they're not always all visible. So each of its toes are set on a bone. The phalanges or metatarsals and metacarpals, they're connected by the joints, just like in human feet. So these bones are then surrounded by a very cushiony pad of connected tissues and fat, and that is what absorbs a lot of the infrasonic communication that comes through the ground. A lot of the communication in elephants is then absorbed through that very fatty, cushiony pad under their feet. So it helps them to pick up a lot of communication, a lot of what is happening around them, not just communication, but even in the temperature, the weather, thunder that might be happening around them. So yeah, very interesting. And then also between forest elephants and the savanna bush elephants, you can tell the difference in the toes. So forest elephants only have 4 toes in the front and 3 toes at the back, whereas your savanna or bush elephant has 5 toes in the front and 4 toes in the back. Again, not always visible in the tracks. So folks, why don't we head across to Tammy, our female cheetah with her little cubs over in Hoedspruit at the Endangered Species Center, and see how she's doing today. So we're just getting a quick visual on Tammy to see if she's visible for us to see, and I think she's ready there for us to link across. So let's head across to Tammy over in Hoedspruit, the cheetah, and her little cubs, and see how they're doing today. Alrighty, so yeah, lovely to see our female cheetah Tammy with her adorable little cubs. So these cubs are, there are 4 little cubs here. Very cute. They were born last week Wednesday. I actually witnessed one of these cubs, and any of the viewers that were watching last week Wednesday live at the waterhole, we witnessed one of the cubs actually being born live here at Live at the Waterhole, which was an incredible sighting, not something you see every day. So yeah, very special. So these cubs are, what is today? Oh, just over a week old. They're still very wobbly, eyes still a little bit closed, still fully dependent on their mother. She's been very great taking care of them, Tammy, so she's been cleaning them quite regularly. They've all been together and suckling, and they look like they're very happy and healthy baby cheetah. She will spend a lot of time licking their bottoms as well, bottoms and tummies, to stimulate their system so that they can use the bathroom. We've had a lot of viewers asking questions about this female cheetah Tammy and her history, so I did message the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center to get a bit of information on her, and yeah, they very kindly replied. So basically, Tammy was born on September 11, 2016, along with 3 of her siblings, so 2 sisters and 1 brother. From an early age, she was recognized as the larger individual of the 3 females, and of course she did remain as a part of the breeding program here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center in order to preserve and continue her bloodline. So I think her other 2 sisters were reintroduced into the wild, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center is delighted to have Tammy as a successful production of her litter and yeah, quite a milestone in the ongoing conservation and breeding efforts here at the center. So yeah, very special that we have Tammy here to be able to help breed and reintroduce these babies out into the wild. Oh, check at these little things. I love the little paws and the little faces and their stompy little tails. How cute. So another question I had the other day, we had some viewers asking about the sex of these cubs. So again, this is a response that I got from the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. So they said in order to determine the sex of the cubs, this will only be able to be determined in about 6 months' time when their DNA is taken. Each cheetah's DNA is stored in a database to ensure that when the time comes for them to be released, they are not placed in an area where there is a similar gene pool for cheetah. And this is to keep the genetic diversity. So yeah, very grateful for this response from the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. Yeah, we did speak about the other day in sexing in these cheetah, and sometimes you can only start telling the sex at about 6 months of age.
He is such a handsome young male. Look at that pose. Absolutely beautiful.
Join the Wild Earth YouTube superfan community and unlock a world of additional perks. Get exclusive early access or discounts to Wild Earth travel deals. Wear the best bush attire with merchandising discounts. Enjoy an interactive live monthly private safari. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience. Join the YouTube superfan community today.
Would you like to know at what age a buffalo calf gets its horns? These are questions that you can ask me in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a salesman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
How cool is this?
Reserves. Oh, look at those little feet. Diane, yes, the cheetah ears are very cute. You can barely see them from the front though. Only when you look at them from behind you can see those little black patches behind the ears there that gives you an indication that they have ears. Otherwise they're normally quite don't really look like they have ears. So Martina has sent through a comment. Apparently 1 or 2 of these little baby cheetah have started to open their eyes yesterday. So yeah, lovely to know that they've started opening their eyes. Normally at about 7 to 10 days after being born, the baby cheetah will open their eyes. And the coloration of these cheetah, see how they're very black underneath and a lighter color on their dorsal, on their backs, and this is kind of a mimicry of a honey badger. So the cheetah, baby cheetah, the coloration mimics that of a honey badger, and that's to help to protect them against other predators. Because no one, including myself, will mess with a honey badger. Honey badgers are quite relentless creatures, and they've got quite a big attitude, so no one messes with a honey badger. So the idea is that if any other predators come by, they might mistake these baby cheetah for honey badgers, and that could save their life from being eaten by a bigger creature. So wildlife lady, yes, these little baby cheetah are looking very well and growing quite quickly. Next thing they're going to be roaming around, causing all kinds of havoc. Very cute little critters. So Sandy Franklin, if you missed our earlier comment, apparently one of the cheetah, so Martina said earlier that one or two of the little baby cheetah did start to open their eyes yesterday. Normally it takes about 7 to 10 days, so they were born a week ago Wednesday, so they're 8 days old. So I'm sure by the time their 10-day marker reaches, so by Saturday, Sunday, they should all have their eyes opened by then. And yes, Sandy Franklin, it was a very big privilege to see a little baby cheetah being born. I've spoken to quite a lot of wildlife role models that I have and told them about our epic sighting of a cheetah birth, and not many people could say that they have seen a baby cheetah being born. So Spas Iankov was also with me last week Wednesday live at the waterhole when these little cheetah were being born. So he just sent through a comment that he also saw the cubs being born live. And yes, Spas Iankov, it was a very special moment and a special sighting to witness the birth of a little cheetah. So it's quite an unusual, interesting moment because these baby cheetah were born Wednesday morning. I think the first two were born at 5 a.m. and the next one was born an hour later. And then 9 hours later, the last one was born. So it's quite unusual to have such a large gap between one birth and the next. So yeah, nature sure does surprise us. Deb Davis, you're more than welcome. It's very grateful to the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre for sharing so much information with us about Tammy and her story. If you follow their Instagram page, I'm sure you would have seen they did have a post about the father. So Spotless, who's the father of these little baby cheetah, he has a story as well. And I was wondering why he was called Spotless, and the reason he's got the name Spotless is because when he was young, he apparently jumped out of a tree and he sprained his ankle. So the vets put a cast on him, which when he was reintroduced with the rest of the family, didn't like this white cast being on the cheetah, so they did try to remove it. He was getting a bit harassed by the other cheetahs around, or his little siblings, the other cubs. So they decided to remove him from his family for a few days until he recovered. So they removed that cast and he had a more temporary bandaging put onto this sprained ankle of his. But where he had injured himself, there was a bit of a gap of skin that wasn't healing. So they actually did a skin graft of this little cheetah, removed some skin from his belly and put it onto his leg. And the section where they did the skin graft, they thought that the spots would never grow back because it was a piece of black skin, plain skin from his belly. So they thought he would never have any spots on his one leg, and that's why they called him Spotless. But a few years after he recovered from all of his operations and healed well, he started developing spots. So Spotless, these little cubs' male, or the father here, does have spots, but for a short period he had no spots on one of his front legs. So that is the story of Spotless, the male cheetah that has sired these 4 little cheetah cubs. So David is asking about if it is possible to see which cub is cub number 4, our little runt of the litter. And David, I have been trying to look, but they all look the same size to me. So I'm going to say no. If you see a smaller one, it could be the last born, but to me all 4 of these cubs look the exact same size. Oh, it's just adorable watching these little cubs suckle away. They're very lucky they have a very attentive mother that can take very good care of them. We have a question coming in here from Karen. So Karen is asking, why does it take up to 10 days for these cubs to open their eyes? So Karen, so cheetah cubs, like many other artificial mammals, are born completely blind and helpless. So it does take quite some time for them to open their eyes for several key biological and evolutionary reasons. So one of those reasons is a neurological and sensory development, which continues post-birth. So cheetah, like most carnivores, are born very undeveloped in their sensory systems. That does prevent their eyes from opening and closing, which allows for a safe development for their retinas and optical nerves in the darkness. So that's why their eyes, one of the reasons why their eyes are closed for so long, in order to allow those retinas and optical nerves to develop, as well as reducing the damage from light or injury. So another reason is energy prioritizing. So at birth, much of these cubs have very limited energy, which is directed towards developing these critical organs like their lungs, their hearts, their brains. So all the energy is going to developing these main organs that they have, rather than fully developing their eyes. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question a little bit. So the newborn cheetahs are very vulnerable in their dens, so that's why the mother will hide them in very thick shaded dark areas in the wild. So thick thickets, thick grassy areas, rocky areas, so that keeps their eyes closed, helping to protect their delicate tissues from dust, debris, bacteria and bright light, while their little bodies develop all of their main organs. So this is altricial babies, whereas precocial, like hares and antelope, are born precocial, which means that they developed, and within moments, they're very well developed. Within moments, they can already stand, they can already move, they can see, they can hear, they can run around. So generally your predators are born with altricial young that take a long time to develop and need to be fully taken care of by their parents. And that's altricial young. And precocial young, which is your antelope, ground nesting birds, hares, are all born precocial, meaning that they need to be able to run and protect themselves within minutes of being born, otherwise they would be susceptible to being killed by predators. Look at those little black ears of theirs, aren't they cute? So these cheetah will spend most of their time just feeding and napping while they are still developing all these senses, while they're getting their balance, getting stronger, their muscles. So Karen, no problem. I hope I answered your question there about the little baby cheetah. They're still quite wobbly as well, I've noticed. So again, their muscles will take quite a bit of time to develop and get stronger as they drink their mother's very protein-rich milk that helps to aid their little bodies in development. So little cheetah cubs are very fascinating creatures, and they do have some really truly unique traits. So there are baby cheetahs are known as cubs. So the baby cheetah cubs are born in litters, generally in about average on 3 to 5 individuals, but there is I think it's a zoo, St. Louis Zoo in America, has the record for 8 baby cheetahs being born, but generally it's in the wild it's 3 to 5 individuals. But they do have quite a high mortality rate in the wild. Over 50% of baby cheetah cubs don't make it to adulthood because of influence by predators. So LSG has sent through a question about predators' teeth or animals. So the question is, do animals experience tooth decay in their lifetime at some stage? So yes, LSG, a lot of not just predators, but for example elephants, a lot of deaths in elephants if they have lived a long enough life to surpass their teeth. So elephants generally have about 6, in some cases 7 sets of teeth, which work in a bit of a conveyor belt system that run from the back to the top and back to the front, and then they fall out. So once an elephant's teeth have worn out, just like many other, whether it's predators and antelope, teeth are so crucial in the processing, chewing down of their food. Otherwise their digestive system cannot handle this unprocessed or compacted food. And once their teeth start to decay, or once their teeth start to fall out, then it can cause quite an issue with them feeding, and they slowly are able to feed on less and less and less, and then they slowly have less and less energy, and then this can cause them to die from inability to consume enough food to sustain their bodies.
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
It's amazing.
It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
Would you like to know the difference between a male and a female wildebeest? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Wild Earth Travel's newsletter is your passport to a magical journey. Explore exclusive travel options featuring special offers at stunning Wild Earth locations, and all hosted by your favorite presenters. Don't miss out. Head over to our website and subscribe to the Wild Earth Travel newsletter today and stay in the know on all our unforgettable adventures. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
we'll be able to follow them as they get bigger and grow, which is going to be so special to see. So Bill, thank you for your lovely comment. Alrighty, so our little cheetah cubs aren't doing too much. Let's head across to Tau and see what other activity we have at the waterhole at Tau in Madikwe. So welcome back to Tau Game Lodge over in Madikwe, South Africa. Looks like we've got still our red-knobbed coot. Sorry, my attention always goes to the birds first. But anyway, we've got a nice little breeding herd of a blue wildebeest. Our zebra look like they're heading off into the distance, and we have some more another elephant bull coming down for a drink. So yes, Karen, please do not fret. I think for the inevitable future, as far as I understand, we will still have access to the camera of our female cheetah Tammy and her little cubs, so we will surely be able to follow and watch the little family grow, which I'm really excited about. I can't wait until they're about 2 to 3 months. They're still fluffy and they're starting to play with one another. They've got that very thick fluff on their neck there still. Very cute little cheetahs. Look at this big elephant bull coming down for a drink. Lovely to see Tau so nice and lush and green. End of last year, end of the dry season, where these wildebeest are standing here, was completely dry and barren. Very derelict. Didn't look as lovely as it did right now. Trying to see this big elephant bull come down. Maybe we'll get a sight of our crocodiles. I wonder where our crocodiles are here. Such a nice sunny day, so relaxing just watching this elephant bull very calmly coming down to the water as the wildebeest feed on the water's edge. Nice breeding herd of wildebeest here. It's quite nice to see a breeding herd of wildebeest. We've just been seeing kind of solitary males around, so not too many breeding herds. So nice to see a breeding herd around. Oh, and some zebra. We did have some springbok here earlier, so very active location at the moment. Lots happening, lots coming, lots going. What is this elephant up to? I'm trying to see if he's in must. So sometimes you can tell if elephant bulls are in must when they are walking from quite a distance. Yeah, it doesn't look like he has any secretions from his temporal glands, but sometimes you can tell they've got a bit of a swagger walk to them. Yeah, full of attitude, full of confidence. But this bull is looking very calm and very relaxed. Again, very short, stubby tusks compared to some of the elephants we saw over in Tembe. We had really great sightings of elephant bulls in Tembe when we started the show today. Nice long tusks, One individual had very sharp, pointy tusks at the end. I wouldn't want to get into a fight with that bull. Whereas if you have a look, this bull here, very short tusks. You can see on the left-hand side seems to be a bit shorter, a bit stubby. So you can tell if an elephant is right or left side dominant, depending on which tusk has been utilized and used the most. So this elephant looks like he's a left dominant elephant. Yeah, oh, he's giving a sniff. There's a few wildebeest lying down in the grass there. It must be quite a warm day. Kind of tired of grazing and feeding. So it's a bit of a commensalistic relationship we're seeing here between the zebra and wildebeest. So they'll often feed in the same areas, zebra and wildebeest, because they feed on different parts of the grass. So zebra generally will feed on the tips of the grass, lower parts of the grass, and the wildebeest will just feed on the tops of the grass. So the wildebeest will kind of come in like lawnmowers, chop off that first section of grass, and then the zebra will come in and feed on the lower parts of the grass there. Oh, what bird do we have? Is that Egyptian geese or a heron? Look at this magnificent elephant bull that has come to the watering hole. See how he's curving his trunk there. He's kind of sniffing around to see if he can smell any danger, smell what's happening around him. Elephants use their sensory organ, that giant nose of theirs, as a very good way of communicating, but also smelling what is happening around them, as they don't have the greatest eyesight. Alright folks, why don't we head across to Founders Lodge over in Eastern Cape to have a look at some rhinos. So it looks like we've got a big male rhino here that's come down for a drink this afternoon. I can't decide, looks like he possibly could have been scratching his bottom on the side of this rock here, or mud island. And now he's having a drink. So let's listen to hear. You can hear this rhino slurping away. Oh, I thought this was a solitary male rhino, but looks like there's actually a little baby here too. So yeah, it could be a female and her little calf. These are white rhinos. We do have very successful reintroduction programs for these white rhinos across southern Africa and several private reserves and provincial reserves across South Africa, Eastern Cape, even Zimbabwe. So despite not being historically native to this region, there's been a lot of efforts to help to establish small and stable populations which do help to contribute towards this conservation of this species. You can hear the sound of their feet on the ground there as they're moving around. Oh, look at this little guy, isn't he cute? So a lot of these reserves in South Africa, they do have to create very secure habitats for these white rhinos, and that's making safe zones for them, big fences, lots of anti-poaching units, tracking devices. So it's not cheap to keep these rhinos safe. So I do appreciate all reserves that do help to protect these incredible animals. Oh, looks like we could have a Cape wagtail down at the water's edge. I love these Cape wagtails. They sometimes hang around when the rhinos come for a wallow. So wildlife lady, yes, we are very lucky to be able to see these white rhinos here in the Eastern Cape at Founders Lodge. Yeah, they do come down to the watering hole most afternoons, most days. So yeah, if lucky you can get a sighting of them. Very cool to see such majestic creatures. Look at this little guy. So apparently in South Africa does hold about 90% of the world's population of white rhinos. So white rhino populations are increasing. Black rhino populations are still a little bit unstable. So last time I checked, I think the populations of white rhino are between 16 to 17,000 left in southern Africa, whereas black rhino you're looking at about 6,000. So there's a 10,000 individual difference between white and black rhino. Yeah, so they are a species that do need to be protected, the black rhino, but white rhino numbers have recovered and are on the increase.
For years we've shared virtual wildlife. Now let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet. We take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
White rhino. Listen. Maybe they'll make some noise while interacting. So that's probably why that female was curling her tail there. She could have smelt this male coming. So see how important it is to observe the body language of animals. So it can help you to understand a lot of what is happening around you and also give you an early warning system. So this male was obviously coming and the female must have picked up on his scent. Oh. Can you hear them snorting at each other? Hoping, if we're lucky, this female rhino will have a bit of a mud bath for us. So I've got a question from Spas Iankov is asking what the population of white rhinos is in Eastern Cape, as well as black rhinos in Botswana, Zimbabwe and Namibia. So Spas Iankov, again, it is quite difficult to get exact numbers on these individuals, but just to give you a bit of a rough idea. So over in Botswana, white rhino populations are around 200 individuals to 250. Black rhino in Botswana, you're only looking at about 23 individuals left. So Botswana has experienced significant poaching pressures in recent years, which has affected the population quite extensively. Your populations of rhinos in Zimbabwe, white rhino, you're looking at about 400 individuals, and black rhino, you're looking at about 600 individuals, although I think this number might not be accurate, because I know some reserves that do have a very high population. So in South Africa, you have a very much higher population of white rhino than black rhino. In Zimbabwe, it seems like our black rhino population is on the rise. So 600 black, 300 white, 400 white rhino in Zimbabwe. Namibian populations of rhinos are doing pretty well the last couple of years. So white rhino in Namibia, you're looking at about 1,400. Approximately, again, it's difficult to get an exact count, and black rhino, you're looking at about just over 2,100 individuals. So Namibia holds the world's record population of black rhino, which does represent more than a third of the entire species. So yeah, sounds like Namibia black rhino, well, rhino population is doing very, very well. Listening to see if we can hear any sounds, any vocalizations. Seems like an ox picker there. And then I'm getting the figures for white rhino in South Africa. So approximately 12,000 individuals. Just under 13,000 white rhino in South Africa, and about 2,000 black rhino in South Africa. So the South African populations are doing very well and are on the increase. I do apologize, Spas Iankov, I am struggling to find an exact number on how many rhinos are on the Eastern Cape. But yeah, probably for their protection and safety, they do keep some of these figures under wraps. But South Africa does boast about 80% of the global white rhino population. So yeah, just under 13,000 white rhino, which is quite a high population. And yeah, the black rhino population in South Africa is the second largest population in Africa after Namibia. So despite these significant numbers, rhino poaching does remain quite a critical threat. In 2023 in South Africa, they reported close to 500 rhinos were killed due to poaching activities, highlighting the ongoing challenges in the conservation industry. So yeah, rhino poaching is still an issue. It is still something that most anti-poaching units work very hard to protect, but it is really good to see that the populations are increasing in certain countries and regions. So very big thanks to all the anti-poaching units out there and people that dedicate their lives to protecting and preserving these individuals. So quite exciting rhino news in Zimbabwe. In Wangi National Park, white rhino have been introduced into the southern part of the park. There's a friend of mine, Daniel Tablanche, that is heading the rhino project that they have there. So they now have 4 rhino in the southern part of Wangi National Park, which are in a bit of a pilot project to protect the reserve. So they're in very big fenced off areas, which used to be community land that they are using to preserve and protect these individuals. Why don't we listen to this female? I think she might be ready to have a mud bath or some interaction with this male. It's a very long bathroom break from this female rhino. I was hoping there might be a bit of interaction, so we've got a few comments coming through. So Erica mentioned there could be a rhino midden over just to the left of the screen. That's why these individuals were... Oh, it's a male. The female must have taken off with their little calf. So yeah, there could be a little midden somewhere, which is quite common in these areas. We have a watering hole. White rhinos are territorial, so the males will mark their middens and spend a lot of time on their middens here. We have a question that came through from Diane about what is a predator for a crocodile. So Diane, crocodiles don't have many predators. When they are young and small, everything will eat a baby crocodile. Everything from bigger crocodiles to fish, big fish, fish eagles, monitor lizards go for crocodile eggs. So when they're young, they do have a lot of predators. But we've even seen herons eating little baby crocodiles. So a lot of predators when they're young, but as soon as they grow up, get a bit older, they don't have too many predators. They do have to be wary of hippos. Hippos and other crocodiles are probably the only threat that a big crocodile has. But yeah, when they are young, they do have many predators. Wow, what a crazy sound. That was the rhinos interacting with one another. Sounds almost like dinosaurs fighting. Darkman Lover, thank you for your comment. And Peter Thompson, good afternoon and thanks for joining us today. It was lovely to see those rhinos and hear some very unusual vocalizations as well as observe some body language. So Spasienkov, body language of rhinos, they have a lot of different kind of body language that they do exhibit, a lot of sounds that they make. That can indicate whether they are being aggressive to one another, whether they're looking for affection, whether they're trying to fight with another bull. So again, these are things you pick up over many, many years, spending time with these individuals to learn their body language. Submission, they'll put their head down or go down onto their haunches. So there's a lot of different kinds of body communication that rhinos may have. So the tail curling is just one of many different kinds of methods. Snorting, they use snorting quite a lot to display aggression, anger, or curiosity. Smelling each other, interacting. So there is a lot of different kinds of body language in rhinos. Still hear these rhinos in the distance. Again, good to listen out for what a rhino sounds like. So if you're out camping in the bush one day and you hear rhinos close by. Alrighty folks, well, our rhinos have gone out of view, so should we link across to Stony Point and see if we can find our baby penguins? Alrighty, so it looks like we have got our rock dussies or rock hyraxes here, nestled into the rocks, getting out of the wind. Sounds like a very windy day over in Cape Town. So these rock hyraxes or rock dussies, they will nest in colonies here in the rocks. There can be anything between 10 to 60 individuals in one colony. There are 5 different species of hyraxes in Africa. So you get the rock hyrax, 1 species of rock hyrax, a bush hyrax, and 3 species of tree hyraxes. Recently learned from one of our viewers, I think it was Spasienkov, told me that you do get one the southern tree hyrax in KZN.
We have just had our efforts paid off.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
Hyenas love bathing.
And I don't know what a tick bird is, but oxpeckers do eat ticks. They do feed on ticks, and they're mostly looking for that blood that they actually get from inside the ticks. So yeah, I think probably they would be the same, although I think tick bird, I don't know of any official birds with that name. So yeah, come on little penguin, show us your chicks. So, oh, what do we have here? Oh, is that a, what egret is that? Is it a cattle egret? Let's have a look. Little egret, I think, has yellow feet. There's dark legs. Yeah, so what are you, cattle egret? Could be a cattle egret, but cattle egrets have yellow legs. Could be the intermediate. No, we don't get the intermediate egret here. So this looks like it could be the yellow-billed egret. So black legs, yellow bill. So some of these egrets quite difficult to tell. They all have very similar white colorations on their wings. But the feet can be a good giveaway. So it's not big enough to be the great egret. Cattle egrets have yellow feet. Looks like he's feeding, hunting here. Trying to get any little insects. Fill himself up with some lunch. See how they use their neck to triangulate from side to side. They'll move their head from side to side in order to triangulate the position of their prey. So this is quite a stocky egret. It does have a bit of a shorter It is a bit shorter than the western cattle egret or the little egret, so it is often confused. Yeah, so they do live in, mostly associated with water bodies, including wet fields. They're often found in flocks. So I have a call here of this egret. I'll play it for you. Lots of kelp that is washed up from the ocean, and looks like we've got some cormorants that are sunning themselves after a morning of fishing. Could be the reed cormorants, Cape cormorants. I always hope to see like some seals or whales. Imagine dolphins. It'd be lovely to see some sort of ocean life. Ooh, what do we have here? Another egret. Could be a slaty egret. What egret is this? Heron? Nope. Hope to see anything basking up on the rocks. These Cape cormorants, I do love it when they're in breeding plumage and they have that bright orange and blue on their faces. Lots of excrements from the cormorants all hanging out here, so they'll come and spend some time up on these rocks before going off onto their next fishing endeavour. I must say, I don't know how these creatures, cormorants, you do get them in quite a variety of habitats. A purple heron. What heron is this? Could be quite a cool one. So Penelope Kenyon, yeah, I'm not surprised you called your oxpeckers tick birds. Sounds about right, they do eat ticks, yeah, I like that name, they're tick birds. And we have another little rock dussie or a hyrax here. Look at those little knobbly shaped toes that they've got, especially adapted for climbing on the rocks. And as we spoke about earlier, you can see those nice soft fluffy coats of theirs which protect them from the cold and the sunshine. Really cute little ears and that little black snout of theirs. Very cute little critters, these hyraxes. Right, so we've got some comments. Thank you, Dark Main Lover, and everyone else, the Penelope Kenyon, for all your comments. All of our other viewers for commenting today. Oh, I think this is a purple heron, folks. Pretty cool. We've had some really good sightings today. It's been very interesting, very exciting, and eventful day. I think we'll have a few quiet moments to just listen to the sound of the ocean. Wishing you all a very happy Thirsty Thursday from me and the rest of the Wild Earth team. I want to wish you a lovely afternoon. See you same time, same place tomorrow, folks. Have a lovely Thursday.